Good afternoon, everyone. My name is James Fitzgerald. I'm Pactimo's New England Territory Manager.
Well, I come from a completely different background from most. I was born, as you can probably hear from the accent, and just I spent most of my professional career in the private security industry, and I was for what most people would call a bodyguard for the financially gifted for many years. So. And I ended up in the business aviation world and the executive protection and private security for Gulfstream, the private jet company.
Okay.
So I became the go-to biz jet guy around. Yeah. So that was a nice life, but it's a life for younger and single men. So eventually something had to give, and I spent more time with the family. I've got 2 children. And one of my children, my son, is a very keen and enthusiastic racer, and we were desperate to find somewhere to get him to ride. And you know, I'm a middle-aged fat guy, and I couldn't ride as far as him. By the time he got to 10 years old, he's going out and doing 15 miles an hour and 15 miles. And I couldn't keep up with him. So we sort of had to try to find people to ride with. And then we entered him at the Harlem Skyscraper Classic at the kids race, at the crit there.
Yeah.
And we stumbled across a couple of kids wearing cycling clothing that fit, which was unusual. We couldn't find, clothes that would fit him. And so both entered as well. And there were the PV races and guys were there, and we just started chatting, and they told me that there was a program in Queens at the called Star Trek. So forward to that, we ended up joining Star Trek, and my son Billy thrived. It was a wonderful thing, and we were there religiously. It was getting him out of school early so we could beat the traffic to the velodrome. And just going on and on and on, and then racing as much as we could, and it sort of took over our lives.
Great. And besides the influence of your son, what kept you in the sport of cycling beyond that?
Well, my son has got a bunch of learning disabilities, so he's really dyslexic, and he's got processing issues and everything else, and it became this incredible outlet, and it became one of the few things that he could do that would keep him on par with the other kids. It was a lot. Team sports were never good for him, and this became that sport. So once we sort of got that, we fell more and more in love with cycling and right. with the community, and realizing that cycling was just an incredible outlet for kids,
right,
especially kids with learning disabilities.
Absolutely.
And then once we had gotten to Star Trek, and we'd seen all the, the thing about Star Trek is that we got every size and shape, every creed and color.
Right.
And that is a wonderful thing for us. And then, so the more you see it, and the more I had a little boy at the time. He's 19 in December now, God knows. But I had a little boy that wouldn't talk to anybody because he was afraid of being made to look stupid.
Right.
And once cycling came along, that absolutely exploded his self-confidence and everything else that goes with that. And we had there was a man that really introduced cycling, and that actually going to be my nephew. If COVID hadn't happened, he would be my nephew now, because he's marrying my niece. But we've been family friends. I've been friends with his dad now since I was 15 years old, so that's 40 years.
Right.
And so Adam was the guy that took him out and said, you know what, this kid can do it. And then I joined Adam, and I helped him out at races in Central Park and things like that when he came over. He's UK based. And then once we sort of started seeing the racing community and the people there, you feel this is it. This is where we need to be. We found our sport. So
Absolutely.
the more I got involved with it, the more I loved it, and the more I wanted to help.
Absolutely. And start as an organization. What's what is your mission? I know that during conversations that we've had, Star Trek is a 100% donor funded organization. Right. So as an organization, how do you keep that that train rolling, keeping the kids interested, and how do you keep that on the level?
Well, as an entity, as you say, we're completely donor based. It's a free program. So a rider comes along, they're just interested in riding. We give them the ability to be able to take that to the next level. So a kid can come in, get a bike, get a helmet. They can wear street clothes for the first few weeks, months, whatever, and then involved. So the enthusiasm that takes and that generates is pretty awesome. And because of that, the kids are going back to school and they're going to telling their friends or their family. And we've got, thanks to one of our coaches, Mike Sandler, who does all our media, we've got a pretty strong media game and our social's really good. So that also brings in a ton of people. So literally during the COVID thing, we've probably had, I would say, probably 30 to 40 new applications in the last 4 months.
Yeah.
And then once we get rolling again, people come along and they see it and we get more. So we, I think we're up to somewhere in the region about 130 kids in the program.
Right.
From across the board, and that just grows and grows. And really, if we had more daylight or floodlights,
right,
or warmer weather, or an indoor velodrome, we could. The sky's the limit. We literally couldn't. We'd be turning them away. And we ran during myself and Dave Harrison's first 3 years, I think, of being co-directors, we had a wait list of around about 150 kids.
Wow, that's fantastic. And I know you mentioned that you have riders from every race, creed, and color, but you also have riders from every level of experience. So you've had riders that have getting on a bike for the first time to Olympic level athletes. So kind of speak on that kind of range and run that gamut of athlete that you coach.
So when I first started coaching, it was generally, we were a youth program and that was it. And we were like an after school program, and because of the numbers that I explained to you, we literally would age kids out at 14. That was the historic thing of Star Trek. And so we'd actually gotten to the point where we just said, well, we can't kick kids out. That's ridiculous. These kids want to ride, they want to race. And for some reason, 14 is the magic number, which is how it ended up like that way, that kids generally just gravitate to other areas in life at 14. School kicks in a much bigger way. There's different sports, there's peer pressure, there's boyfriends, girlfriends, puberty, everything that goes with that.
Yeah.
So we would lose a ton of kids anyway. But there was always that little hardcore knit of kids that wanted to race, that wanted to carry on and do it. And we couldn't kick them out. Yeah. So one of the things we did was we created a race team. And that race team was to get us over the sort of dyed in the wool, tried and trusted aging kids out of 14 thing. So it was a new wing to Star Trek, if you like.
Right.
And so that started. So we would then go to whatever races anybody went to, and to this day, really, if there's a rider that wants to race, we will try very, very hard to have a Star Trek coach at one of those races.
Right.
And for the most part, we get to 95% of them.
Mm-hmm.
So then with the elites, we were now, we're sort of fast forwarding now. We're into that situation where there's a lot more riders racing around. So my exposure to the sport was getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And then I'd made friends with an elite sprinter like the national champion, Dominic Swosey. And Dominic and I got on really well. We had a good rapport, and you know, it's just one of those things that we worked well together. So he was going to go on things. So he was at a loose end, and I sort of came up with this sort of wacky idea that I would bring him into Star Trek. You know, a kid from Arizona, an elite national champion, was going to join Star Trek.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, we literally did that, and it worked out really, really well, because I'd said to him, if you want to do this, then you've got to give back to this program. Right. And mentor the kids, whatever, just go to training sessions with them, let them see how you do it. And then at that point, he was transitioning to the OTC at Colorado Springs. Mm-hmm. And then so I've got this thing where I have trouble saying no. So there was another rider came along, and this was a rider that I've met at my first ever national championships we went along with, and that was Joe Christensen. Mm-hmm. And then Joe and Dominic were roommates, and they were just riding together all the time. And I know, well, if you're there, Joe's got to be there. We got to do that. So then, and that was it. Once that had started, then the floodgates opened really. So we started working with an elite team, but the same old premise still stands, and that is if you join Star Trek, then you have to be mentoring the after school kids. Whenever you're in town, you come out, you work with them, you help them, you know, you wear your national championship kit, and and the kids can ooh and ah and actually get something from it. And the only thing we don't do is the elite team, for the most part, is not funded from the Star Trek program.
Right. And speaking of racing, with everything that's going on with the world COVID that we're living in right now, with the lack of racing how are the athletes staying motivated? How do we keep them on task when there's no quote unquote motivation to train?
Right. Well, at Star Trek, for our we call it the program. The program at Star Trek is anybody that wants to join us. We will hold 2 Zoom sessions a week for the kids to do indoor training. There is an opportunity just to ride at Kissena whenever you can, and obviously we cannot physically support that. Right. We can only just offer help, and I think really a lot of the motivation has to come or be generated by us, but the kids have to really buy into it. Just because there's nothing per se to train for doesn't mean to say we have to stop training. And right now, this is, I think that the people that really get it are really getting something out of COVID, to be blunt. And
right.
And this is the time where you push the training, right. And you work really, really hard. And now your gains are going to be better than your competitors' gains, and that's what we do. And I'm based in T-Town, Trexlertown, PA.
Yep.
For ever since obviously COVID hit, which has worked out well for me. I love it. Yeah. But I spend a lot of time at the track at T-Town, and they've really done a really nice job of giving their cycling community somewhere to train. Yeah. So there's set training schedules. There's X amount of number of riders, 25 people in the infield at any one time, no spectators. But if you need to get your training and your efforts in, then it can be done. And so we've encouraged anybody that wants to come out there to come to T-Town, and I can work with them. And we do that on a weekly basis. I'm at track 4 days a week, 5 days a week. So
that's fantastic. And a lot of your athletes in the program, or the kids that are in the program, it's a very diverse community of athletes, and from underrepresented underrepresented athletes. And what are the barriers that perhaps they face or you face in getting them involved in the sport and keeping them involved in the sport of cycling?
Probably, I mean, for the most part, kids are kids.
Right.
It doesn't matter what, who, where, whatever. They're kids, and they get excited and they get a buzz out of being on the bike. I think a lot of the issue we have is stereotype. And that goes on through the families. We might have African American parents really just don't get it. Right. They don't see the point, because I guess that cycling has always been classed as a white rich person's sport. Yeah. But the people that do go and really just keep the open mind, they see that their kids are thriving, like my own child. Yeah. They really get something out of it. I mean, self-confidence goes through the roof. The kids, I mean, fitness obviously is part and parcel of what we do anyway. They get fit, they get excited about it, they get mates. They're now in this bigger world, and I think they thoroughly enjoy it. And then once the parents get that's a hurdle sometimes, but our parents are by and large pretty awesome. Mm-hmm. And then when we get to, okay, your kid wants to race, there's a massive financial barrier to that. Right. Just we'll give. So the other thing we do at Star Trek is on completion of your third semester. So once we know that you are, dedicated, you really want to do this, we'll make a big presentation of cycling kit. So they get their kit for free. Right. And then we'll always find helmets. We have helmets from the DOT. We have a lot of that. So once there's a child there now that has the ability to race, regardless of finance and regardless of cost. The only thing that kid has to do is find themselves a USA Cycling race license and an entry fee. We can't do that. Sure. But we try to do as much as we can. Financial barrier is always something. Peer pressure is another one, whereas their friends are going, well, we're going to go and play basketball. What would you need to go and ride a bike for? Right. So for us, racing is a byproduct of what we do. Sure. The initial mission still stands today, 16 years later from when it started. And that is really just to get kids on bikes. Right. And in the future, if that child becomes an avid cyclist just because they just like to ride a bike, then we've done the right thing. Then the job is done. Yeah, I hear that. And how does the cycling community as a whole, get involved if they want to know more about your organization or get involved? How can the cycling community as a whole, get on board and help support your program in any way? Well, so, as you say, support comes in many ways. I mean, I think the first thing that if I would love anybody to do is if they see kids with Star Trek uniform on, go and say hi to the kid. Tell the kid that they're doing a great job. And, because the kids hear it from us all the time. Yeah. But it doesn't mean anything. Mm-hmm. But if you get some other fella turn up in his nice flash team kit and goes, you're doing a really good job. Enjoy your riding. Right. It makes them feel special, makes them feel good. So that's number one. Mm-hmm. Primarily, as a donor-based operation, I've gone past the point of being shamed in asking for money. I'm absolutely shameless at this point. So, any donations, we have our website, StarTrekCycling.org or StarTrek.nyc. Yeah. Or our social media, Facebook. We're all over that. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, if as corny and as blasé as it sounds, everything counts. Yeah. So if I see a pair of shoes that are being advertised on Facebook Marketplace for $20, that $20 that someone just gave us might do it. Right. That might get a pair of shoes. So, right. and that's what we do. So donations are very, very much appreciated. Certainly not essential to support us, but essential to in our little world, it's essential for us to keep going. Right. And the social media stuff's great, like what we do, and just we enjoy it. So if someone else from the cycling community can enjoy it too, then that's a good thing for us.
Great. And for those in the in the community that don't know, how can they get to the Kissena Velodrome? So where, if they want to go see the kids race or join your club?
Yeah, well, to actually join and to apply for Star Trek, just hit us up on social media or via the website. But to actually come and see us, we're actually in operation pre-COVID. So right now we cannot get permits from New York City Parks to run the program, and in honesty, it will probably be pretty irresponsible even if we did get a permit to put it on right now this semester. So we're gonna take the high ground on all of that and make sure that whenever we open up, whenever that will be, we'll probably just go into the spring and open up in the spring and April like we normally do, and make sure that everybody's healthy, well, and we have all the things in place to make sure that everybody keeps safe and healthy. But the Kissena Velodrome, Kissena, is a very, very old velodrome. Some people refer to it as Old Bumpy. It's probably one of the roughest velodromes in the country, but we can't complain because it is one of the few velodromes in the country, and certainly the only one in New York State.
I learned how to ride on that track, so I knew exactly what you're talking about. I
tell my riders all the time that if they can ride quick on Kissena, they can ride quick
anywhere. That's right. I heard that too. That's fantastic.
Yeah, for sure. Right. So so they can come anywhere. There's a really good website, KissenaVelodrome.info, which is run by the people that run Kissena, and it's got our details on it as well as everything else. It's good.
Okay. And great. And they can look you up on social media. How do we find you on social media?
Star Trek Cycling.
Star Trek Cycling on Facebook and Instagram. Is that correct?
Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, I believe.
All right.
And we probably have got a Snapchat or a TikTok. I wouldn't know.
Right, exactly. We'll leave that to the professionals, right?
Well, the kids beat me up all the time because they always tell me about Facebook. Facebook's the old man thing.
That's right.
That's for old people.
What? I remember when that was just for the kids. So we've grown in that regard. Right. So that's fantastic. Well, for spending some time with us and helping us learn more about your organization. And again, if anybody out there, if you wanna get involved or help out Star Trek Cycling, you can connect with myself at Pactimo, and I'll hook you up with Coach Taylor, and we're gonna do whatever we can to help you keep kids on bikes, because that's the main goal, and that's the big deal. If we can keep kids on bikes, then we're doing the right thing. Absolutely. All right. Absolutely. Well, I want to thank you for your time.
To you guys for all you do as well. This is a great outlet, and I appreciate everything you've done.
Yes, we're more than happy to help, and hopefully we can chat again soon.
Like that.
All right. Thank you very much, Coach.
Thanks, guys. Bye now.
Bye now.